Good afternoon, everyone. How are you going? I just thought I'd pop in and have a quick chat because there was just an interesting article that I've just read online, and I thought I'd have a discussion with you about that, about the striping. So I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes to make sure everyone can get on board before we have a discussion about this. I wasn't going to have a live today, but I just thought after reading this I might have a discussion with you because it sort of makes me think it might be the type of gear that I shoot with is the reason why I'm not seeing any of this striping. But like I said, I'm going to wait for a few more to pop in so we can have a discussion about it, and then we'll move on from there. So say hi in the chat. If you, I'll just pop over there and just have a look and see who's in. Let me have a look, see if I can make this a bit smaller. So who have we got? We've got obviously me up the top. We've got Ben's here. What are you planning for your when you get your 10K subs, Dave? Well, I'm actually thinking, guys, and I will make this a pre-show. If you're joining later on, just skip to where you see the a7iii Images sign. What I might offer, though, is something for local Aussies that are around Melbourne. I think I might organise a shoot in the city to celebrate me getting 10K subs. I'll also see if I can do something else. But, yeah, I'm not far off now. I think I'm only around about 700-odd subs away, so I'm getting close to getting the 10,000, so it will be big celebrations, and I can't thank you guys enough. So yes, Ben, I will do something, definitely. Lance is here, just saying all my a7 gets delivered Thursday. My current camera is a6500. Oh, fantastic, mate. You'll love it. Josh said hey. Mike said hey. Investigate Facts is saying hi from Canada. Saravana, I think it is saying good afternoon, Damien. Finally got time for a live chat. Good to see you on here, mate. Joel, are you talking about banding with flash? No, I'm not. I'm talking about striping, which is another thing, and I'll explain that in a minute. Tom's here as well. Gil's here. DSLR Wedding Videography is saying hi. Shaku said it's 11:40 p.m. here, Minnesota, but can't sleep. Lucky never said hi, David, and we've got another person just popped in as well. So anyway, let's have a chat about it all, because now I'm just going to switch over to the logo and then we'll start from there. So bear with me. G'day everyone, just popped in, thought I'd have a live chat with you about a discussion that I just saw online, and I will put the link to this document down below so you can have a read of it, because it was a really good review of the Sony a7 III. And I thought I'd discuss that because I've had an awful lot of people talking to me about striping that's happening inside images, and to be honest, I haven't seen them, and I've just been commenting about the way that I use them, and some people have been basically saying I'm a Sony fanboy and all these things because I haven't been saying I've had any issues with the camera. And I just haven't. And I thought when this article came up, it probably now makes sense to me why I'm not seeing any of this striping out there at all. And I wanted to open it up too to the live chat at the end. And I will answer some questions for you guys as well. But it can be just general anything, because people can stop watching if they don't want to watch at that point. But it's definitely something that I've seen online, because I'm just going to try and just search to, let me see if I can just open up another. I don't think I have any sound actually on that. Let me just check if I got sound on this one. 1, 2, 1. I'm just making sure I've got sound, so I'm just switching over. Let me know if there's no audio there, guys. 1, 2, 1, 2. I think it's working now. Yeah, this banding and striping that's actually appearing in these areas that you can sort of see coming through here. And it's happening quite often just with certain lenses, but it's only been really noted. Apparently it's something that is in all cameras using PDAF, and I'll explain that in a minute. But it's seems to be worse with the a7 III for some reason. I'm not quite sure why, but it's definitely there. Ben, have you got sound now? Just let me know. It should come up in a minute. Hopefully it'll pop back in a second. So basically, I wanted to talk to you about that and what I think is causing it. I think according to the DPR review, they know what's basically causing it, but there's certain hardware that actually makes it worse. Thanks, Ben. Yep. So basically, there's multiple things online if you get it, and I've had quite a number of these that's actually been reported to me, and people keep posting me ones of showing me these stripes, and I just kept saying, well, I'm not getting it myself. It's just something that I'm not actually seeing. And so it's been really weird because I thought, well, perhaps I'm the one that's got the amazing camera or whatever, and I'm just not seeing these things. And like I said, some people were accusing me of being a Sony fanboy because I was saying there was no issues with it. At the same with the IAF, I had a person yesterday commenting on my videos. In the end, I had to block him because he just didn't give up. I think he was a troll. He was commenting all day yesterday about the IAF was not working. And to be honest, I found it fantastic with my a7iii. It really is good. I mean, it's equally as good as, probably not quite as good as my A9, but very, very close. But anyway, this is another issue. So let's have a look at this article because I thought I'd explain to you what's going on. So they're saying here, so this is an article, it's a full review that DPR Review, I think it's, DPR Review have done, and I've read down the section about flare and striping artifacts. And this is the interesting thing because it's basically saying that readers have some concerns over striping artifacts, and if you want to look around, if you Google it, you'll find multiple images there. And they're saying particularly images that were shot with the 85 1.8. That's the Sony lens, the 85 1.8. And it's also saying in here that it's known as PDAF striping, and it's not limited to a single camera, because I think what they're saying is it can actually affect any camera that's using PDAF on the sensor. And sometimes, I don't know, people just pushed it to find these things and then they find them and then they start going on about it. But basically, it is possible to get it with any camera that's out there. We'll go back to the document. He said it's likely due to light reflections of the metal mass of the sensor phase detect pixels. Basically, and it's saying that you need that approach that what Sony have done to give you the high-speed AF performance with the 10 to 20 frames per second bursts that you're getting with these new cameras. And to be honest, I haven't seen it with my A9 either. They're saying that it's not unique to the a7 III. Many other Sony cameras have it, like the a7R, the a7R III, the A9, and the R100V, as do other cameras using masked pixels for on-sensor PDAF like Olympus. And they're saying this occurrence of striping is very hard to predict. But the interesting part is that after reading this article, and I'll scroll down in a second, it appears to be that it's only certain lenses that's causing this issue. And the reason why I'm not seeing it at all is because I haven't got any of these lenses. And that was one of the interesting things that I've read in this article. And I'll show you what those lenses that they're talking about are, because then you can chime in and let me know whether you've seen any of that with the lenses that you're using. Let me scroll back here. So they're saying here, no, it wasn't you, Mike, that was talking about it. So no, Mike's just commented on the chat. No, it wasn't you, Mike, it was someone else. It wasn't you at all. It's saying here that we set up a stress test in our studio, and you can see what this, let me just see if I can open that just to see if we can have a look at what that stress test is. All right, so it's basically this is the stress test that they're using to try and view this striping issue that's actually there. So you can see it's heavily backlit. They're shooting into that sun to actually see it there. But they're saying basically that we were able to differentiate lenses that produced a strong pattern, and the ones that actually brought the strong pattern up were the 85 1.8 Sony. It was the Canon 35L2 and the Canon 85L2 as well. Now, they're also saying that there was mile reports with the 51.4 GM. Now, these are all the GM versions that are coming up. So it's the 51.4, it's the 85 1.4, and the 70-200 GM. None at all, so they couldn't find any striping at all with the Sony 35 1.4, the Rocky On 35 2.8, the Sony 55 1.8, the 24 105 f4, and the 70 to 200 f4. Now, there is saying there's a workaround that you can actually use it, and I discussed that the other day in the live chat. But, I'm going to open it up to the chat in a minute because I'd love to know what you guys think. So, looking at it, this is probably the reason why I've never seen it, because I use the 70 to 200, but I'm not using the GM version, I'm using the F4 version. Now, that's been listed as saying there's no striping at all with DPR tests. The other lens that I use extensively is the Sony 35 1.4. Again, so there's no striping being involved with that at all, so that's the other lens that I use. I also use extensively the 55 1.8, and again, that was one of the lenses that was listed down as having no striping at all. And the other lens that I use as well all the time is the Batis 85 1.8. Now, that's not listed, but I'll show you a result in a minute, and I haven't seen any striping at all from this lens in any of the images that I've shot. And the other lens I've used extensively, which is not listed there either, is the 16 to 35. It's the F4 version. It's not the GM version, the 2.8, which probably has the striping involved. But so clearly all the lenses that I've got are not showing that striping, and that's backed up by what DPR Review said in their stress test, that there was no striping involved at all with those lenses, including some of the Rockion or Samyang lenses had no striping either. And I'm just going to show you this thing. I'm just going to make sure and see if the sound comes back again. Let me just check. Yeah, I think it will. Yeah, so this was one I just tested the other day. I have done heaps of other tests because I was more interested in what the Batis would give me. And I've tried to simulate that banding that DPR Review did, in that it was heavily backlit. And then I'm just going to try and push the exposure up to see if there was any striping from the Batis 85. Now, they are saying it's not dependent at all on the aperture number. So the aperture doesn't seem to have an effect on whether the striping shows or not. It's either just there or it isn't. And basically, from what I've come to gather from this, when I'm looking at the Batis being used and I push the exposure right up or even bring the shadows right up, there's no striping at all. Now, I'm not sure whether you'll even see this through YouTube, but there's no striping at all that's coming through in any of those test shots that I did with the Batis. And there was a number of them that I took that I tried to simulate, you know, that look of being really heavily backlit. And again, like I said, I just can't see any striping at all in any of these images. So it looks like that it appears to be the Sony 1.8 is a version if you're dealing with this striping issue. Now, remember, it's not there for all your shots. You do have to shoot a certain way to actually get this striping to show. So it's not like the camera is a disaster at all, and I'm not saying it is. But if you are dealing with shooting, and that's your style, you are dealing with shooting particularly in heavily backlit scenarios like what DPR Review showed, you may get the potential to have that striping involved. Now, you then can use that tool, which was back here, and it works quite well, apparently. It's this Professor Hank Dietz at the University of Kentucky has developed his own fix that can get rid of it. Now, they're saying it's not a fix that is costless. In other words, there is a slight loss of quality when you do that fix, but you can get rid of it if you need to get rid of it that way. But I really wanted to know too, and if you're not in the live chat, I'd love to know in the comments down below, have you seen the striping yourself? If you're using the lenses that I'm using, that I just showed you about, the 70 to 200 f4, the 35 1.4, the 55 1.8, the Zeiss Batis, and also the 16 to 35 f4 lenses. Have you seen any striping? Because I haven't at all. So I'm really curious to know what you've found with that. Let me just open up the chat because I'm just going to come back to here and open this up with you guys. Most people are just saying hi early on. Saravana said, they said the 85 1.8 has more issues, but I've been using it for weddings and didn't see any issues at all. And that's like I'm saying, I think you really have to push for it. And remember, a lot of these people are pixel peepers and they will push to find the errors. You can almost make any camera fail if you do push for it. I hadn't seen it at all, and I didn't know whether it was because of the lenses I've used, which DPR review backed up, or whether it was just that I very rarely shoot that type of scenario anyway that is so very heavily backlit. But even in those tests that I did, I couldn't see anything with the Zeiss Batis 85 1.8. Yeah, so that's interesting. Mike said, as I said before, I've had striping with the Sigma 51.4 when using the art flash in HSS with heavy backlighting. Yeah, and I remember you said that, Mike, and I'm not pushing it. I get it consistently under those conditions. Oh, okay, so you are getting it consistently with that lens. And again, see, it's certain lenses, Mike, it looks like it is that's getting that issue. Rui saying hello. Shaku said, Sony said the A7 was a basic camera, so the basic features are starting to show up. Well, it's not true in a way, is because they are saying that that's also there in other cameras as well. Whether it's as bad as those as the a7 III, I'm not sure about where that falls in that. Like I said, I haven't got any of these issues, but it must be the lenses that I'm using. And I don't think at all that the banding is an issue. Like I said, I think it's a very rare thing that's coming up. And remember, it's available in all the other cameras, Shiku. So, I don't think the camera's bad at all. I love that a7 III. Peter Kent said, hello, he's just popping in. Investigate Fear said, I wonder if it is something that can be resolved with a firmware update. Well, I don't know. It could be. We're going to have to wait and see, though, I suppose, whether that's something that could be fixed with a firmware. Mike said, these examples you showed with the Batis into the backlight with HSS flash added, I don't know if there's a difference. I only get it with heavy backlit in combination with HSS flash. Okay, well, that's interesting, Mike. I did do some tests. I deleted them, though, because I just didn't bother keeping them with the flash as well, and I couldn't see anything with the lenses that I've used. And to be honest, like I said, I don't go looking for the stuff, to be honest. I never go looking for really issues until there's a reason why I see it, and then I'll start to try and solve it and work out what's wrong. I have used the camera extensively, and as you've seen, I've used it extensively with high-speed sync. I've used it extensively with continuous lighting and also natural lighting, and I haven't seen any banding at all. Now, it'd be interesting to see if you get that with other lenses, Mike, because I've got a feeling it's probably just that lens that you're going to see it with. What else have we got? Photoman said, yes, indoor artificial light 24/7 GM. Have you seen it with that? Have you, Photoman, with the 24/7 GM? Because they're always saying it looks like the GM lenses have an issue. That's why that was coming up. James said, every camera makes money. Yes, it does, true. Is it Kibili said, the Sony 85 is a good lens, but if you stress test it against the Batis or GM, it will not match up. Well, I think quality-wise, that lens is equally as... Well, it's probably... Someone said to me the other... I can't remember who it was, that the Batis has got more blades in it, so there was a difference between the two. I didn't initially think there was. When I did my test with the Batis against the Sony 85, I couldn't tell any difference at all in quality, but clearly there must be a difference if that's not showing up any of those issues at all. But the GM is an amazing quality lens, and that's showing these issues as well. So, yeah, it's an interesting thing. John said, g'day, John, how are you? John said, supposedly it's more of an issue with the 24-megapixel cameras. Yes, it is, because I think they're saying it's still there with the a7 III, but it's not as bad as that, John. So, yeah, that is an interesting comment as well. I read that the smaller, more dense pixel sensors don't show the issue. And thanks for saying that, because I'm just curious to know how it relates. I haven't seen it on my a7 III, but remember, I haven't got any of the a7R2, but I haven't got any of those lenses that they're talking about that's causing issues. So I'll be curious to know in the comments too whether people have. What else are we saying? Just bought the a7 III lens kit. What's the best lens to buy with it? Well, it depends what type you shoot. Ashkan. Let me know what things you like to shoot. Investigate facts. Suspect the AA filter, possibly, but then why does that not have an issue with the f4 lenses or the other lenses, the 1.8 that I use and stuff, and the Batis? So I'm not sure. It seems to be just this saying that it's this PADIF. Yeah, true, Mike. If you do want best price performance, the Samyang 35 1.4 is a great lens. Joel said, I shot a wedding with the 24-70 GM over the weekend and the reception was artificially lit and I had no issues with it. Same with the 70-200 GM and the 35 f1.4 Sony Zeiss. And that's the thing, Joel. Are many of you seeing this, or is this beaten up by so-called pixel peepers? And this is why I wanted to have this discussion with you all, because I haven't seen it. And this is the thing, I can only comment with you guys about what I've actually seen. And I haven't seen any of these issues at all. So that's why I'm curious to open this up to the discussion. And if you're not here for the live discussion, like I said, leave the comments down below because I'd be curious to know that as well. I don't think, Joel, that they're saying this is it's got nothing to do with the electronic shutter. These are issues even with the mechanical shutter. It's a different thing with banding, Joel. Don't get confused with banding or this striping. They're totally different things. It's to do with the PDAF, the on-camera AF, the on-camera's focusing is causing it. Richard said, hi, I'm late. Hi, Richard, and thanks for joining. The Turin said, hi, David, do you use any filters with your Zeiss? Yes, I do. I use filters. It's listed in my description down below. I can't remember the name brand, but if you go to my About, I'll leave the link in the comment down below. You'll find the filter that I use for my 55 that I've been putting up with all the videos that I've been doing just lately. It's in my Amazon gear list that I'll put down below. So is there any last questions about that, guys? Because I'd be curious to know. Like I said, if you're not in the discussion, please leave some comments because I'm really curious about this and if anyone is really seeing it or whether it's just a pixel peeper thing that, is just beaten out of all proportion. Well, that's about all I need to do today, guys. I just wanted to bring that up to you, basically be aware of what's going on and just saying that for me, it's not been an issue. For me, it's been fine. I haven't seen it once. Others are reporting online that they've seen it. So I just wanted to clear this up because I'm getting an awful lot of people asking this as well. Mike's just answering some questions about lenses as well. So you can read those a little bit later on. All right, guys, that's it. I'm popping off because I've got to go and do some wedding editing. I'll see you all again soon. I may pop on for a live chat tomorrow or perhaps the next day. Apart from that, let me read this last one. After your suggestion, I bought a Samyang 35 1.4 and I'm loving it. The only issue right now is heavy vignette and artifacts on the edges at low light conditions when shooting on a white wall. Yeah, look, I mean, don't shoot on a white wall. Again, though, Saravana, the thing is, if you know there's an issue there, remember, you can always find it if you're looking for it. And really, how often are you going to be doing that? I've found whenever I tested those lenses, they're not an issue, and it's probably something that you can fix in Lightroom anyway. I mean, just basically use lens corrections, and you could probably take it out, and you wouldn't even notice it anymore. All right, guys, talk to you again soon. I'm off for now. Bye for now.